My personal top 5 tips for better sleep. I want to chat about that today. We only have 3 full days left of the bundle after today. So 3 days, that's it. And the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle will not be back until 2025. And when it does come back, it'll be completely different. So if you like this bundle and if you want this bundle, this is the Raw Vegan Bundle. So everything in this bundle is raw and everything in this bundle is brand new. Never been available before. None of the content that's in here has been available before. So if you want to get all the brand new stuff right now, you can do so. Click the link in my bio or go to the link in the description box below if you're watching on YouTube and get yourself the bundle because it ends May 12th, 2024. And like I said, it won't be back again until 2025, but like I said, in 2025, it'll be completely different. So go grab that. If you haven't yet, even if you just want to go check out the website and see what's inside, I recommend doing that. You're getting 2 of our brand new ebooks, the Make It Raw Volume 3 that I wrote with Chef AJ, which has 47 brand new recipes in it, and the Tales from the Tailgate Raw Vegan on the Road ebook that I wrote with my loving husband, Nate. We wrote a 277-page jam-packed ebook talking about how we travel as raw vegans. So there's over 100 recipes in there, and there's little stories. There's how we plan, how we pack, how we prep, freeze drying, dehydrating, camping tips, safety tips, and oh my gosh, like all the recipes have little stories with them too. So if you want a little more insight into our adventures and all that stuff, grab the bundle so you can get a copy of that ebook as well and enjoy traveling yourself. Learn something new. Maybe things might not work for you in certain situations, but at least you can get inspired by different ways that you can travel as a raw vegan. So yeah, let's get into our topic today. And as always, I'm open for questions. So if you have any questions about the bundle, if you have any questions about raw food, if you have any questions about our topic, which is top sleep tips, you can post in the comments as well. So my top 5. Now, there's so many different ways to improve your sleep. And I'm just going to go over 5, and I might kind of like throw some extra bonus ones in there too. But these are my top 5. These are the ones that I have personally found that have made the biggest difference in improving my sleep. Now, before I go into them, I personally believe that sleep is one of the absolute most important things that we can work on to improve in our life, and that goes beyond diet. So as important as diet is, I think sleep is even more important. So I learned this from Dr. Doug Graham's wife, Rosalind, and in a talk she did years and years ago, she was talking about the spokes of a wheel. So if you have a wheel and you have all these spokes, right? We want to have each spoke equal, because if we don't, if one of the spokes is too long or too short, your wheel isn't going to be round and you're going to have a hard time, using the wheel. It's going to get stuck and all that stuff. So all the spokes need to be equal, and we spend, an equal amount of time on all stuff. And that would be like diet and exercise and friendships and community and passion and relationships and meditation and, all the stuff, stress management, all of that. We gotta make sure that all of them are equally balanced. And I know a lot of people put so much emphasis on the diet, but they might not be exercising, or they might not be spending time in the sun, and they might not be cultivating community. They might not be following their passion. They might be stressed out all the time or worried about all kinds of stuff or what have you. If you're too focused on one of the spokes, then other areas of your life are going to be very out of balance, and you can still have issues and health issues if you are just focusing on one thing, because you can have the most perfect diet in the entire world, and if you are not addressing these other spokes, then you may not be feeling the optimum that you could possibly. So that said, I personally want to build upon that and share that I think that sleep is not one of the spokes. Sleep isn't one of those spokes. It's the axle that holds it all together. So sleep is absolutely super important, and sleep does things that diet will never do. Sleep does things that exercise will never do. Sleep does things that even stress management doesn't do. There are certain things that we need to have proper sleep for, and we need to be actually sleeping. Like, I know some people think that, when you eat clean, you can sleep less, but unfortunately, as I mentioned, diet doesn't do what sleep does. So we do have to get adequate amount of sleep. And some people say that, when they eat clean, they need less sleep. Usually those people are under eating. And when you under-eat calories for the day, you typically have issues sleeping because your body's kind of like, where's the food? I need more food. So it's a little harder to go to sleep, because if you are restrictive or you're skipping meals, or you're stressed out and you're not eating, or what have you, then it can affect your sleep. And for people who are under eating on, say, a really clean or healthy diet, they might think they need less sleep, but their body is actually crying for more calories so that it can get more sleep. So that's something to think about as well. Just food for thought. We need to make sure that we get enough calories so that we can enjoy a proper sleep. And on that note, I think it's really important to start eating earlier in the day. And this is just my opinion, and I've noticed it with countless people, especially on a raw diet. It's very hard to get 2,400 calories, in a short window. So I suggest people eat earlier in the day and try to get the bulk of their calories between breakfast and lunch. And then, you're having your 500 or 600 calorie salad at night, but try to get most of your calories between breakfast and lunch. That way you end eating earlier and you have a better sleep after from that as well. So, and then you're not restricting because you're eating a lot of energy first thing in the morning when you need it, right? You don't go on a road trip on an empty tank. So start your day with a full tank and fill it up throughout the day. So that said, in our brains, we have something called the glymphatic system, which is only cleared through sleep. And if we don't get enough sleep, it doesn't fully clear. And this has been linked with Alzheimer's and some other issues. So sleep is incredibly important. And I learned a lot of stuff from the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I highly recommend it. It has changed my perspective on sleep. I read it probably about three-ish years ago or so, and I've consistently been trying to improve my sleep over the years. And obviously we're not perfect, right? Some nights we stay up a little later. We try to keep in our routine. We're only human, but the goal is to every night try your best to follow your aspirations, follow that mindful self-discipline. What kind of a person do you want to become? Is it a person who does go to bed early, who gets adequate sleep? Then you gotta do the thing. You gotta do the thing, set alarms on your phone or whatever you have to do. And that moves me into the first top tip, is to get a routine. Get a routine in your life when it comes to sleep. Routine, same bedtime, the same stuff that you typically do before bed, say that's stretching or yoga or meditation or prayer or, your skincare routine, whatever that might be, reading, anything like that. Get into a routine when it comes time for bed so you can wind down. That might include a warm bath, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Or, like I said, meditation is really great. Or anything that can help calm you down before sleep is going to be really helpful. But also, same time every night if you can. And like I said, we are all human and we might not go to bed at the same time all the time, and that's okay. But remember, it's about consistency. It's how many times you do it and how often you do it, and then you eventually fall into kind of a really good routine. So what we like to do is set alarms in our phone. We have an alarm set for 8:15 right now, which is our signal to drop what we're doing, turn off the show or the movie, which is very hard to do. It's going to be there tomorrow, right? You don't have to watch the rest of it. You can watch the rest tomorrow. But drop what you're doing, turn everything off, and start your evening routine. Whether that be, like we'd mentioned, yoga and then face care routine, brush your teeth, all that kind of stuff. Get into your routine when the alarm goes. And like I said, I know it's hard. We don't always do it. But we do try and we do strive. And the nights that we do, we always feel better. So it's like, well, if we feel better, why don't we do it more often? So that's a typical human response. We always want to enjoy the moment instead of connecting with our future self and how much our future self is going to be grateful for us, having self-discipline. So set an alarm. And when the alarm goes, just tell yourself, I'm going to feel so good going to bed early, and I'm going to feel so good when I wake up. And that's kind of a little bit of motivation to get you going. And like we talked about a lot about in the self-discipline videos that I posted this week, start small. Because feeling like, when your alarm goes off and you're like, oh, now I have to get to bed, ready to bed, and I have to do this and do that and blah, 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 and you feel a little overwhelmed, you just want to sit and watch Netflix or whatever, start small. Even if it's just closing the laptop or turning off the TV or getting up and getting your water ready for the next day. Just start with one task. And then with the action comes the motivation. And then since you're already starting, you kind of end up doing the whole thing. So just start slow so that you can get into that routine. And if you aren't currently going to bed at a decent time, we like to go to bed around 9 is a pretty good time. That's when I feel my best, because I personally do best on 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep. And most women do. Most women tend to need an extra sleep cycle over men. So I typically, like I said, do best with 8.5 to 9 hours. That's when I feel the best, when I have those longer nights. And in order to do that, I have to go to bed early. And most of us need to go to bed early so we can get the appropriate amount of sleep cycles in. And we don't always do that, because in the night, it's easy to stay up. We have more time to ourselves, and it's really challenging. But we can spend a little bit more time in the morning if we shift our bedtime. So you're currently going to bed at like 11 or midnight or 1 or 2 or whatever it is. And that's a consistent thing. Don't start going to bed at 9 the next day. You're going to have a horrible time. It's not going to be the greatest sleep. And it's going to be really challenging to shift your sleep when you have it, like so dramatic of a change. So what I suggest, and what I've heard other people suggest too, is if you're going to bed at 1 o'clock every night, and that's pretty much your routine, instead of going to bed at 9, go to bed at 12:30. Instead, one night, and see how that feels, and do that for maybe a couple nights. Then after you're used to that time, go to bed at midnight instead. You can even do it in 15-minute increments if that is more helpful for you. But slowly over time, over the weeks, over the months, you can slowly bring your bedtime down to 9 o'clock by doing a slower increment change. And that's really helpful, because when I first started doing this, like Nate and I were going to bed later, and I've done this in the past as well. You're usually going to bed at midnight or 1, and then all of a sudden one night you go to bed at 9, and it's like so hard to fall asleep. Your body's kind of out of balance because it's not your current routine. So yeah, just start slowly going down, and that can be really helpful in finding your new bedtime. And that way you can wake up earlier and feel more refreshed, because you're not going to bed at 1 and trying to get up at 5 and only getting 4 hours of sleep. Eventually that's going to catch up to you. So yeah, that's my first tip, is getting a routine in place. Second tip is the temperature of your place or your bedroom or what have you. The temperature plays a massive role in my sleep, and I have a sleep tracker that I track. I have the Muse headband, so I can track my sleep, and I notice on the nights that I actually remember to turn the temperature down, I have better sleeps. So the ideal temperature is around 65 to 68 Fahrenheit, which is like 17, 18 Celsius. And that's a typical proper temperature. Like, if you think in nature, the sun goes down, everything gets really cool, and that's a signal to the body to start producing the sleep hormones. So if we can turn down our temperature a little bit, that can tell our bodies that it's time to go to bed and start producing a little more of those hormones. And I notice, like I said, on the nights that I remember, and that can be part of your routine, is to turn the temperature down. Say when you go to brush your teeth, you can habit stack that. Like in that book, Atomic Habits, it's a really great book. I highly recommend that one. But habit stack, if you're already used to brushing your teeth, tack on changing the temperature as well. So they go hand in hand. You brush your teeth, you turn down the temperature. So that's a really good bonus too. And on that topic I mentioned, I wanted to talk about warm baths and warm showers, or if you have a hot tub, soak in it for a little bit before bed, because that can help bring down the body temperature, the core body temperature, and that can really help with sleep as well. So that's a good bonus tip. But yeah, just turn down the temperature when it's time for bed, or with the sun. You could even have it set, if you have like a smart temperature thing, you can set it so at sunset it turns down to the appropriate temperature, and that can be helpful. Then we've got number 3. Tip number 3 is reducing screen time. This is a big one that is incredibly helpful. And we all know about the blue light blockers, and I have on my phone the blue light, it changes, it takes away the blue light, so it's less. But yeah, on our computers as well, we have it set so at sundown it goes into blue light, or the orange light mode or whatever it is. But you can get glasses that are blue light blockers as well, to help prevent that blue light from coming in after sundown, because that affects our hormones, our sleep hormones. So one of the biggest tips though is, instead of using the blue light blockers and all that stuff, just turn off your screens at sundown, which is incredibly hard. I understand. I totally understand. Some of us work late or whatever, but do the best you can. These are all just tips, and you can implement what works for you in your life and leave the rest, right? Whatever works for you, and you can help to arrange your life to make them work, but do what you can. Again, we're not expecting to be perfect, so just do whatever works with your life, but turning off the screens and, not watching screens late can really help improve your hormone secretion, and thus increase better sleep, better restoration, better rejuvenation, better healing, all that kind of stuff, right? So if you want to do screen time, shift it to the morning. If you're able to turn off the screens at night and go to bed early, then you can wake up early and do the things that you need to do on the screen. It's a lot better to do it in the morning than it would be to do it at night, which leads me into the next tip would be sun exposure. That's a huge one as well, is first thing in the morning when you get up, expose yourself to the sun, because this teaches your body that, the circadian clock rhythm, that it should be producing certain hormones at certain times. So waking up and then going either on a balcony or just out a window if it's super cold outside or what have you, or if it's nice, go outside and take a morning walk or whatever, and expose yourself to the sunshine, so that can help regulate your hormones, so that, the sleep wake cycle is a little bit more balanced. And on that note, one of my favorite things is the blackout mask. I love the blackout mask, wearing that when I sleep. So it's like just a mask that you wear that blocks out most of the sunlight. And it's been really helpful with our sleep. Nate and I both have one. We take it camping, we take it traveling, we take it everywhere, because it just improves our sleep so much. You could use blackout curtains or whatever, but as soon as you wake up, expose yourself to sunlight, so your body's like, oh, okay. So, at 5:30 in the morning, we're exposed to sunlight. And I know you can't really do that in the winter time, but expose yourself to sun as often as you can in the morning, as soon as the sun rises. Like I said, even if it's at a window, a little sunny spot or what have you, try your best and do the best that you can with whatever situation you're in, whatever your accessibility and all that kind of stuff. Then there is the final one. Tip number 5 is exercise. These are all things that we know we should be doing anyways, and they all help each other. They all help each other out. So obviously diet is going to play a big role in your sleep. Stress management is going to play a big role in your sleep. Your relationships, your anxiety level, all that stuff's going to play a big role too. But I think exercise plays a bigger role personally. But again, that could be argued because it depends on who you are and how high your anxiety levels are. And if they're too high, then, getting those under control first will be your top priority. And usually exercise helps with that. So, they all, like I said, they all go hand in hand and they all help each other out. So exercise is a big one. And I do notice that the days and weeks that I do practice more exercise, I have better sleeps. It's just a consistent thing, especially when there's exercise first thing in the morning with the sunlight. That's like the best combo. I try to get 2.5 liters on my morning walk, and I aim for 10,000 steps in a day. Usually it falls around, if I only go out once for a walk, it's like 5,000 steps. But if I do 2 walks or if I go on a long walk, then we can easily get 10,000 steps. It's usually around 5 miles or like 8 and something kilometers. That's usually 10,000 steps for me. So I find it pretty good because the days that I have better exercise, I have better sleep, and we all want better sleep. So yeah, hopefully those tips help. If you have any questions, please post in the chat. We can chat a little bit about that further if you want, or if you have any other questions about anything else, I'm happy to answer them. We're going to be going live in about an hour and a half from now. It's at 2 p.m. PST. We're going to go live with Karen Ramsey talking about menopause and perimenopause and diet. So that's going to be a really cool one. And then at, I believe, 5 o'clock, I'm going to go live with Sachi. She is part of the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle as well. So is Karen. And we're going to talk about self-love and starting from a place of love. That's her contribution to the bundle as well. So we're going to chat about that a little bit, and travel and nature and just, finding time to be with yourself in nature and all that fun stuff. So we'll talk about that. And please, if you have not yet, go grab the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. It is here now. Only 3 full days remain to get it, and you can get it by the link in my bundle. Or I was reading a notification at the same time, and they said bundle. So you can get it by the link in my bio. And you can also get it from the link in the description box below if you're watching over on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. I don't see any questions. So on that note, I will sign off, and I hope you enjoy the day. And if you want to enjoy the Karen Ramsey live, that will be at 2 p.m. PST. It's May 9th. So it's going to be a fun one. Stay tuned for that. Until then, I love you all, and fruit on.